Monday. Joining me now to talk about this is Amy Cameron, who's president of the National Board of Catholic Women in England and Wales. Good afternoon to you. What did Pope Francis do for the role of women in the Catholic Church?
I believe Pope Francis has set us out on a journey. If you look at the first speech he ever gave as Pope, he started to talk about we're on a journey together of mutual love and trust. And in order to bring that in 2021, he instituted a worldwide consultation process, arguably the largest consultation process in all of history. And he put a woman as a key role, as a leader in that. So right from the beginning of this strategy, making it clear that women were going to have a key role. For the first time within that process, we see women getting a vote. So 50 women had a vote amongst the bishops, essentially putting them on an equal status to bishops for those purposes. A decade ago, only 2 women worked within the Curia, within the Vatican. We now see that 1 in 4 have those positions of authority. It was clear right from the start his intention was to shake things up and to bring women much more to the table.
Yes, we heard earlier how he reached out to other faiths. He was also embracing of a more ecumenical approach with the Anglican Communion, for example. But of course, those differences still remain. The Anglican Communion has female bishops, whereas clearly that doesn't exist in the Roman Catholic Church. Do you think if he'd had longer, do you think if the next Pope is a more natural successor to Francis, these wheels can continue to turn?
Yeah, I think Pope Francis was about getting us in a room and talking to one another, and I think that's what he's done. He set us on this journey of having those conversations, but ultimately trusting each other in those conversations and being able to truly actively listen. He invited the entire global Catholic community, so kind of 1.4 billion people, to have these conversations. I think it was about building up trust in order to start navigating those kind of perennial issues that just keep coming back about where is the role of women? How do we hear different voices? How do we embrace difference positively? So it was definitely his intention, I believe, to get us discussing it. I'm not sure it was his intention to actually change church teaching, and we will have to wait on a new Pope to see where this goes next.
Yeah, Pope Francis, you hear people who knew him well talk about his humanity and his humility. And also, given how he shaped his funeral, it seemed he was railing against the constraints of the traditional Catholic Church. He didn't want the pomp and ceremony. He did want to try to change things. Is that your reading of his legacy, Amy?
Absolutely. I think the fact that he chose the name Francis in honour of Francis of Assisi, who was a very simple man, really demonstrated again that from the very beginning that this was a man who wanted to be more Christ-like. He wanted to embody what it meant to really put others first, to be a man that was there to serve the smallest voices, the poor, the needy, very much as the gospel tells us to do.
Look, as we approach the conclave in just over a week's time, all sides of the Catholic Church will be represented there, from traditionalists to modernists, you would expect, modernisers. You hear about some of the ideas of some of the modernisers talking about allowing priests to be married, for example, to bring in, well, more of them, let's be honest. What do you think? Who do you hope may be the next Pope? You don't have to name names, but in terms of what their approach to it might be.
I believe that we're being set on a journey that we're only just beginning to unpack. I mean, the size of the sheer scale of the church, when you try and bring about changes Pope Francis did, it takes a long time to embed that and to pick up those that are a bit slower on the uptake. And I think it is going to take the right leader to continue us on that journey rather than to distract us and move us elsewhere. There was lots of things named in this consultation process that haven't actually been unpacked yet. There's a lot of meat there that we need to unpack and to continue to explore and to just trust that the Spirit is leading the church.
We heard, just finally, Amy, we heard from Archbishop Arthur Roach earlier on, Bishop Emeritus of Leeds, who told my colleague Anna Botting that, yes, maybe there should be a Pope from outside of the traditional European area. Of course, bearing in mind Francis was the first from South America. What do you think? Could we see an African Pope? Could we see a Far Eastern Pope next?
I mean, everything is possible. I think what's beautiful about the Catholic Church is it's global, it's universal, and all of that difference is how God made the world. So yeah, I'm really up to seeing Where's the Spirit going to take us, and who steps forward and is discerned to be the right leader at this time in a world that really needs the message the church has to give.
Alternatively, let me just finish off, because prior to Pope John Paul II, who became Pope in the 1970s, the previous 450 years, all the popes were Italian, not just European, but Italian. Could it be that we have an Italian or a more conservative Pope next? And if that is the case, what would that do to the direction of travel for the Roman Catholic Church?
I mean, it's obviously possible. I think Pope Francis did bring a lot of difference into his cardinals. So there's a kind of a different think tank going to be discerning and praying. So it's unlikely, but it's possible. The church has existed for over 2,000 years. It has these periods of time where it goes in one direction and then kind of moves to another. We'll play the long game, I think. This is about individuals, the ordinary Catholic living their mission out. And the Pope helps us with that. But ultimately, it's down to the individuals as to where the direction of the church goes.
Yes, look, the long game of the Catholic Church is an understatement, isn't it? It's been a very long game so far. Thank you very much indeed, Amy. That's Amy Cameron, President of the National Board of Catholic Women